Welcome back, everybody, to the Resistance broadcast. I'm John. Thanks for joining us today. This is the last episode of TRB that you will hear or watch before the Book of Boba Fett comes out. That is crazy. James and Lacey with me as always. Is this the last? This is our last episode of 2021 also.
It is. I thought that's what you were going to say.
I did too.
Yeah. Book of Boba Fett. And I was like, oh, okay.
I was like, we have one more thing that we're doing, but this is the last
and we're actually
episode.
coming up on our 500th episode
Yeah.
of the Resistance broadcast, which will probably be at some point in January. But real quick, just want to give people out there an update on what we got going on. The Mando Fan Show is back. We will be live Wednesday night, 9 p.m. East. We are very excited to bring that show back because we're also bringing back the Mando Code. We're going to be doing another contest. I already know what the code is. I'm very excited for that.
I don't even know what the code is.
Yeah, John didn't have the code for last year until like the first episode.
I was
the
like,
second one, he's like, I'm sure I'll find something with a 3 in it. The code is 3.
It's in the doc. It's in the doc.
Oh, okay.
But
right.
no, I'm really excited because we're going to do all the stuff we do on the Mando Fan Show. The Easter eggs, our favorite spots, looking ahead to the following week. And from what we're hearing, James, about Robert Rodriguez and how he's hyping this thing, I think we're in for a hell of a ride with this series. So I'm very pumped about the Mando Fan Show back for our season 3.
Have we explained how it's working moving forward, by the way?
Yeah, I was just about to get into that, but I wanted to get your guys' involvement
yeah,
here.
just I'm trying to think of the last time I've seen someone be like a director or showrunner for something that was as gung-ho about their own project. Like most people are like,
that's what I mean.
I'm really excited to bring this to you or whatever, but like for some reason there's a vibe coming from him. You know, I think he said a couple times like, if you think I'm overhyping it, it's not even, close.
He's like, good.
I can't overhype this enough, or whatever.
Yeah.
So, the things he said about it. So, I mean, he's really putting in the effort to praise his own project. But
it's gotta be James Cameron with Avatar. It's like probably the most overhyped thing. Like he's constantly like, this is gonna change cinema.
They're building the Book of Boba Fett ride at Animal Kingdom.
Maybe I'm missing it, but like I don't know if James Cameron himself is saying that or if like people are saying like whatever he's coming up with, it's going to be crazy.
No, I think it's him. He did a whole shoot underwater. He had to make special cameras for it and like all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know.
So yeah, Now that we've kind of established that we're coming back, so our schedule is going to be a little different because we're going to still be with you 2 days a week, but it's going to be Monday, the Resistance broadcast, and we're going to kind of blend the best parts of our shows into the Monday show, including the news, discussion, Resistance transmissions, questions, all that stuff into the Monday show. And then our second show will be the Book of Boba Fett coverage via the Mando Fan Show. So we're going to have Mondays, your typical podcast, and then Wednesday live, and then Thursday morning, the Mando Fan Show will hit all of your podcast feeds. So you're still getting the same amount of TRB, but the Mando Fan Show is stepping in live Wednesdays and then hitting your podcast feeds the day after if you're unable to join us live. But hopefully you can, because that live chat makes the show very special.
Definitely changed the dynamic with Disney Plus moving from Fridays to Wednesdays.
Yes, yeah, without question. And based on the schedule and stuff, it sounds like it's pretty straight shot, just every Wednesday, no breaks. It's going to be 7 weeks of Book of Boba Fett. And then after that, anytime there's going to be a lot of shows out in 2022, but anytime there's a break in Star Wars shows, we're going to go back to the Monday, Thursday TRB. And then when Kenobi comes around, we get right back to that. So you'll get it as we go along. You'll know where to find us, and we'll always be putting out the content per usual. So speaking of content, there's news, James, and let's talk about it.
It's the Resistance.
Yeah, John, Resistance Report this week has a couple stories from the Book of Boba Fett, right? It's the final time to talk about it. Final time they're doing all those big promotions before the show actually starts. And the first one we want to bring up on the show is this little thing that they did kind of for social media. It was on YouTube, but I think they pushed it as like a Twitter video and other things like that. They were pushing it, but it's kind of a featurette called Return of a Legend. Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, Tamara Morrison, we're all talking about. It's very similar to the Under the Hood, if you saw that on Disney Plus, kind of the legacy of Book of Boba Fett, why it's important to tell his story. Couple other things like why the Mandalorian sort of exists because Boba Fett came first, so it feels right to bring him into the show. There was a lot to talk about in the sense of like, just, man, like, you're right, like every statement was a punch, like that's 100% true, and they managed to scrunch it into like 3 minutes. It was just a short little thing that they did, a long trailer, but kind of a behind the scenes. Felt kind of like the what do they call that?
The gallery series are going to be great after this show.
Yeah, hopefully. So let's talk a little bit about that. Lacey, you saw this video, I'm assuming, 3 minutes of your day, even though you're very busy. Yeah. What did you think of it?
I have no minutes, but I have minutes for this. All right, so I loved this, actually. I prefer these kind of behind the scenes reels than the trailers themselves, and I know that's kind of lame that people are going to be like, what? But I just like hearing from the creators. That's just who I am as a person. That's what my background is, and it's just what I enjoy. So anytime I get to see a blend of footage from the show or movie and then the people that actually made it, that gives it a little background, is just super, super exciting for me, and I get more hyped than ever. So they got all the heavy hitters in this. You know, Dave Filoni, we got Jon Favreau and Robert Rodriguez, and of course we got Tem as well, who, by the way, every interview I see of him, he looks more and more jacked. Like, he looks great. Like, he's been working out.
Like, they cut away, and then when they come back, he's a little bit bigger, and they cut away, and then they come back, and he's like a little bit bigger. Like, it's like, seriously, in this video.
Yeah, every time I see him, because it's just, it's kind of funny just because of The Mandalorian. I remember, because they had him in that kind of like long, kind of ninja-y nightgown looking outfit that people were like, oh, dad bod. Dude does not have a dad bod. He is jacked. You can just tell from his tight black t-shirt that he is rocking some muscles, which I love. But yeah, so I really enjoyed hearing from Robert Rodriguez. We kind of talked about it a little bit, but it's just the idea of how pumped he was to do The Mandalorian and how he kind of pitched himself for it and how he said this is his favorite character and all this other stuff. For him to mention Jon Favreau and the cohesive way that all these guys have been working together just makes it that more exciting for me. Like, where you have the next person complimenting the person that then comes on screen, and how he's like, you know, Jon Favreau's story is just so cool, and all the different pieces of it make it so cool. And I'm so pumped to see what this show's all about as someone that has no expectations for this show or this character. Someone that's not a huge Boba Fett fan. I've become one. As John would say, Fettdemption is real. So I've definitely become a Boba Fett fan since The Mandalorian because of Robert Rodriguez, I would even say. The way he shot it, the way he talked about it, and all the behind the scenes stuff of him just having a blast, like, makes me want to be a fan of it. But yeah, no, this, like I said at the very beginning of this kind of segment, I can't wait for the gallery episode of this show because I love hearing from these people. And it was just really cool to see some of those behind the scenes shots. I can't wait for the show. It's going to be crazy, which is interesting because I feel like people aren't as hyped as I think they would be. I think there's a lot going on right now. And, you know, with Kenobi on the horizon, I think a lot of people have their kind of eyes locked in there. But I think this show is going to surprise a lot of people about how cool it is.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting you say that too, because I've seen a lot of things where people are like, oh, WandaVision is premiering next week. And then they blink and it's like Hawkeye finale, you know?
Hawkeye is so good, by the way. Totally random. I haven't seen Spider-Man, but like that's what I've seen on my feeds is Spider-Man, Hawkeye, Marvel. And so I feel like this is getting overshadowed a little bit. But I think once it hits and once people are in it, it's going to be a different story.
But yeah, and that's kind of my point too, is it feels like sometimes we're really excited for a show leading up to it or whatever, and then it just kind of like happens and it's over like that quick. And we've talked about it before with Kenobi. You know, like
Right.
how big is Kenobi? And then like it's going to be done in 6 weeks, and it's like that's it. Or what is 6 weeks? 7 weeks? This is 6 episodes.
It's
yeah.
6
Yeah.
six
So
episodes.
it's going to be done like that, and that's kind of what I'm seeing a lot online. It's like people are really excited for a show, and then for some reason, like it's almost like these shows are the things we're looking forward to. So when they're done, all of a sudden we're like, what happened to 6 weeks? Like I was at my job, I was doing things in my life,
Right.
but the show is what I was excited for, and it made it feel like 6 weeks just blew by. It's kind of
Right.
funny how these shows have kind of changed how we I don't know, maybe it's me. I
No,
was never
it's
really
totally
like a
true.
television person, but
It's just like the hype is there, and then you get to it, you watch it, and then you're like, kind of, it's like a book hangover, what they would call a book hangover after you read a really good
Oh,
book. You're just like
gotcha, yeah.
constantly thinking about that.
Yeah.
I've kind of had that happen with these shows now, and it's a little different because of these ones are spaced out, which I thoroughly enjoy. I know at the beginning I was kind of like, oh, I want to watch it all at once. I am so pumped since they started doing this weekly thing. It
Yeah.
gives me time to like digest what I just watched and talk about it and really think it through. And I don't feel like I'm rushing to not get spoiled, like, because we're all seeing it at the same time.
mhm.
Yeah, I'm so happy I don't have to do that.
So John, I'd like to hear your thoughts on the Return of a Legend featurette, but also when you wrap that up, if you want to go into the 40-second clip that we got also online. It was kind of like in its entirety, here's a segment of the show, which was kind of interesting. I remember you being excited because you're like, whoa, this isn't a trailer. This is like a thing. This is a clip from the show. Like, so.
Yeah, it's so the featurette thing seemed a little, I'm not gonna lie, it seemed like a little, let's slap this together and send it out to him, because it's like a lot of the clips we've already seen from the trailers, and they just put some dramatic music over it and did some sound bites that may even be used later in the gallery or something. It's, it's none of the sound bites were like, oh my god, I can't believe you just said that. It's like, yeah,
I disagree.
Favreau-
I thought it was great.
No, I know.
really
I'm not trying to
liked
burst bubbles. I just mean, I feel like, even though
I
this
didn't
hasn't
think that
been,
any
like,
of the lines were like, I mean, Boba Fett's okay, I guess.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah,
I
but-
felt
well,
like
it's like
all
Dave
the lines were
Filoni's
very
usually-
like. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, like, Dave Filoni usually, like, oh, what's he saying? Like, ooh, that, wow, that, like when he was talking about Qui-Gon and the whole Duel of the Fates thing, and you're like, oh my god.
Mhm.
And this one, he's like, Boba Fett's a mysterious guy. He's this mysterious gunslinger. You don't know anything about him. And we're like, yeah, I know, Dave. It's-
He's the setup quote.
fair.
When you're
That's fair.
building a teaser, he's the setup intro quote.
I know,
Give him
but
a
I'm
break.
saying, like, people. I think the dramatic music in this clip fooled people to thinking it was better than it was. Yeah, but I still enjoyed it. But I think it's one of those things like, I'm ready. I'm ready for the Book of Boba Fett. We've been talking about it every week. Every time there's a new interview and stuff, we dissect it, and we, like, last week we really got into a lot of it, and that felt like a really good, breakdown of everything. And now I'm just ready for it. So when I hear, like, Favreau saying, like, you gotta bring in Boba Fett because he's the one that started it all, I'm like, yeah, for sure. It's like, all right, let's watch the show now. So that's kind of where I was with that stuff. I mean, it's all great, and hearing Robert Rodriguez lauding and praising Favreau is always good to me, because I feel like the fans are always like, Filoni.
Yeah.
And no, they're like, the diehard Star Wars fans are never talking about Jon Favreau. So in a weird way, to me, with diehard Star Wars fans, Jon Favreau is severely underrated and not getting the credit he deserves.
You
right
know what
now.
makes him really underrated, which I realized the other day?
That he
I was
directed
watching
Elf?
I was watching Seinfeld, and he's the clown in the episode that George.
He's Eric.
Yeah, I had no idea. I was watching it the other day, and he's talking to him like in full clown makeup,
Yeah.
and I'm like, his face structure, his jaw looks like Jon Favreau, and he sounds like Jon Favreau. And I turned to Matt, and I was like, "Is that Jon Favreau?" And Matt was just like, "No, I don't think so." I was like, "Are you? It sounds just like Jon Favreau." And then
Yeah.
he goes outside and he has his makeup off, and I was like, "It's Jon Favreau."
Yeah, Eric the Clown. Yeah.
Most people
You hung
know.
up on some
Most people
clown
know
from the
the
60s, man.
Yeah.
Most people know the Friends one too, but like if you
Yeah.
aren't aware of it and you happen to be watching it, you're like, wait a minute, that like that guy's really famous now.
It was his voice actually that
Yeah.
gave it away to me, because I've heard so many interviews now, especially Star Wars ones, that I'm like, I know that voice.
Yeah.
Is he like, that's Rio Durant?
Right. Yeah. So, yeah. So the clip was fine. I'm really excited for Robert Rodriguez because I feel like some fans like kind of really don't vibe with like his style and stuff that he's done.
Me.
So I feel like he's a little underrated too, and I feel like he's gonna win a lot of people over here, and he kind of already did with Lacey with his episode of
Yes.
Mandalorian, like you just said. So I like his passion. He feels like a kid, like kind of that the enthusiasm that you get out of seeing a kid talk about something they love, and I really enjoy a filmmaker doing that because sometimes you hear these filmmakers talking about their movie and they're either pretentious about it or they're like jaded and stuff. He just seems like he's doing the job he always wanted to do, and this is it. And he's just embracing that moment, and seeing someone achieve their dream in that way is inspiring, but also you're just happy for the guy and you're rooting for him. So I really like everything, that all the vibes that are going on with this show feels good. And then we get to this 40-second clip of the actual show, and he's right. Like, you hear some of these bits and you're like, oh, when he said speak freely, we thought he was talking to somebody that was coming in to visit him on the throne. No,
Sure,
he's talking to Fennec Shand, And
They gave him this clip, like the editors, they were like, here's a 40-second clip. This is all you get. And they're like, okay, I guess I'm going to use every line out of this 40-second clip.
Side note, real quick, I'm actually very sick of the line, Jabba ruled with fear. I intend to rule with respect. I'm done with it. Stop putting it in the promotion. Give me another
freely,
line.
James.
I know.
Yeah.
The only thing I find a little weird is that he's just walking down the streets with holding his helmet. And if I was a crime boss and I had this helmet that already has a dent in it because it saved my ass one day, I'm going to put that thing on my head. So I find that interesting. He's kind of like...
it is weird, right? That he has it off so much.
Yeah, I don't want Boba Fett to have the helmet off so much. And I get that they're trying to humanize him and they're trying to get into they're trying to move forward and evolve his character and add layers to it. I understand all of that. But just put the helmet on a little more. So we'll see where what happens. This is the first half
John's
of the first
on
episode.
Set just shoving the helmet on Tem. He's like,
yeah, I'd be like jamming it on his head. I'm sure
that
Favreau's
was
like,
great, but could we do it one more time with the helmet on?
Yeah, Favreau's like, our action figures you couldn't remove the helmet on the action figure. Just that was it. But the other thing I find interesting in this clip is, and this could just be an innocent thing, but Fennec Shand's like, why don't you stay back and I can go and talk to all them and like do all that. I think she's gonna betray him in this series. I think it's coming, and I think that is right in line with the Godfather stuff we were talking about, where Fredo betrayed Michael.
it is suspicious.
Look, she's an assassin. She's a pro. She's been around. She's not some rookie. And all of a sudden, she's just like getting like these orders from Boba Fett to speak freely and stuff. That's gonna weigh on her and bother her, and it's gonna build. And she's gonna turn on him. I think that's what's gonna happen on this show. I could be wrong. It's just like it just makes a lot of sense because Boba Fett, like I keep saying, he's a loner, Dottie. He's a rebel. He needs to be a lone dude. I don't see him as a Batman and Robin type. So something's going to happen to split them up, and I think it's going to be her betraying him. But just like a good gangster movie, the top dog is always thinking an extra step ahead, and when she tries to spring a trap on him, he's going to have it set up for her. I think that's what may go down. So I'm not saying she's going to be eaten by a rancor or anything, but I think that would add a lot of drama to it.
Sith.
And out of all the things he said to Mara Morrison, which, by the way, you're right about the T-shirt thing. He looks like he's doing, like, in that, if you freeze frame him in that first clip I was just joking about of them being interviewed, he looks like he's doing like a T-shirt commercial. He looks like he's wearing
he
one
looks
of
like
those,
he's doing a Bowflex commercial, like
form fit. Yeah, like he's got one of those T-shirts that say like, hide your gut with one of these.
Yeah.
Buy a 3-pack
I got the new
today
Peloton bike, and look at me now.
Yeah, right.
He's like, with the new 2021 Polynesian spas, you'll feel like...
Yeah, right, yeah. But he said, like, there's a little bit of fun in it, a lot of action, a lot of drama, and I think that's where we're going to get our drama from, is between the two of them, but we'll see. But it was cool seeing the clip, because now we're starting to realize, like, yeah, this is really happening, and it's really going to be on our screens really soon, and now we're 2 days away, so I'm very excited. The only thing that I'm curious about that we kind of were taken aback by with Mandalorian, and now maybe we're used to, is what's it going to be? 28 minutes, 30 minutes, 35 minutes? Like, I'm curious what these episodes are going to clock in at for.
I think the first one's going to be 30 because
30.
Where did we hear the rumor? Where was it that we found out the segments that we've seen is the first 15 minutes?
First 20 minutes or something like that?
Oh, I thought it was 15. So then the other part of that was in a separate interview, Robert said the second half of the show. So that made me
so he
think
times that by 2.
Yeah.
I just thought 30 minutes, and that lines up with what we've seen from Book of Boba Fett. Or sorry,
and the Marvel stuff too. Marvel stuff's all been
yeah, it's
30
about
minutes,
that time. So I was like, okay, so I bet this first episode is like 30 minutes. But I don't know. Then again, the first episode of Mandalorian season 2 was a lot longer. So maybe they do that here too.
I know he saved Fennec Shand and there's the life death thing and stuff like that, but her saying "if I may speak" and him saying "speak freely," like she's not gonna. That's not gonna last long, I don't think. So we'll see what happens.
Lacey, did you have any thoughts on the 40-second uninterrupted scene specifically?
Well, I was surprised that it was literally the whole conversation was all the quotes that we've seen in teasers and on promotion and stuff. I was like, oh, so they literally chose this 40 seconds for a reason. I agree with John. I think that it's really, as the kids say, sus that Fennec Shand is just like, after her whole life kind of being on her own, and Ming-Na Wen has described her as being on her own in the streets, raw, all this other stuff. Like, those are the words she's using to describe this character, and this character is just kind of being buddy / the right-hand person to this other character that she just met, whereas when we meet her in The Mandalorian, she's very ruthless. She's savage. She's willing to kill whoever she wants, when she wants. It doesn't matter. No consequences. So that's why I kind of, I do agree with John. I think that ultimately she's going to turn on him, or he's going to turn on her and be one step ahead. It's funny you said gangster movies, John. I thought of the show You, which I've been watching, or I finished season 3 recently with the serial killer.
Man.
He is always just like 3 steps ahead of everybody. And even at the moment that you think that he's not, he comes back and he's like, yo, I took care of this a month ago and now it's just happening. Like, he's just that far ahead. So I kind of feel like that would be, to me, a super satisfying show. That the whole time it looks like he's about to get, kind of messed up, or someone's about to screw him over. And then in the end, it's like he did all these things to prepare for this situation and or be ahead, and they show you the steps that he took to do that. Oh, that's so satisfying when that comes together in a show or a movie where you're like, kind of like Ocean's 11 type stuff where they show you the whole plan and then it all comes together.
Yeah, that stuff drives me nuts sometimes. There's sometimes when I'm like, man, that's really cool. Like, I think the Ocean's movies do a good job at it, but movies like Saw, for instance, they drive me nuts because I'm like, no human can possibly know and prepare all of those things and just know that every one of those sequences are going to happen exactly like that.
Then
so
you
many times in the movie that then
you would drive you nuts because it's like all these things that you're like, there's no way it would perfectly go this way.
Yeah, my wife's watching it. I've seen some of it, but but I haven't gotten the impression that it's. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, so it's going to be. If it happens, we're speculating here, but you watch these. I've watched enough of these crime gangster movies, and it's definitely a trope. And usually, it's not the main protagonist who is doing the betrayal. It's someone going behind their back and them, knowing about it. And that's she's the Fredo to his Michael. And people who watch The Godfather know what I'm talking about. And Michael he knew all about it and was waiting for a moment to let Fredo know that you broke my heart. I knew it was you. I knew it was you who did it. And I'm not saying these two are going to be that close necessarily, but it's going to simmer. It's going to simmer because she's like I said, she's a seasoned assassin, and I can't see her just being this sort of obedient right hand this whole time. Like, where's the drama going to come from then? Some Ithorian, some Rhodian being like, yeah, Boba, I stole your car. Like, no,
Right.
something big's gonna happen. It's gonna
funny
be
you
these two
say
main
that because we
characters.
get that first episode and everything could change. We could be like, oh,
Sure.
okay, Palpatine's in this or whatever. You
I
know?
know, yeah, no, without
Who
question.
knows?
Without question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But but no, I agree with you on the surface right now. That makes sense. We do have a couple of the stories though. If we want to move away from Book of Boba Fett, we can get into Maya Erskine, who we knew she was in the show ObiWan Kenobi. She was cast a while ago, but recently doing some interviews, even with a podcast, she said that her role is very small. She indicated a couple of times that, hey, it was great. She wasn't as ecstatic as Osei Jackson Jr. recently, but she did say, I loved working with Deborah Chow. I loved the show, the production. It was all great. I was there. It was a very small role, but she had a lot of comments about fans being involved in the process, and that doesn't necessarily mean like, you know, Lacey's going to be in ObiWan Kenobi, but it means that people who have been working in Star Wars for a very long time and are fans of the show were the people that got hired. And we kind of know that stuff from like droid building and prop building and things like that. Those guys obviously love Star Wars. They do it very well. And if you're going to hire somebody to create the content for your show, they're going to be involved, you know, whether that's
They did it with Stormtroopers and Mando.
501st, exactly. Yeah, stuff like that. So she makes note of that's also happening in Kenobi, and good on that. John, did you have anything to say about Maya Erskine and her potential role in Obi-Wan?
Yeah, so you know, Variety was the one who had this story because it was via their podcast. She was on one of their podcasts, just for Variety, I guess it's called. So only Variety's allowed to listen to that podcast, apparently. But and that's fine. That's a niche, but that's okay. But she
We got like 30.
they covered their article was Obi-Wan Kenobi casts fans as extras. And I'm reading through the article and I'm like, wait, this is the more interesting part. How are they not talking about this? So I think we're the only ones who led with this. Everyone else was like, Obi-Wan Kenobi has Star Wars fans with tattoos that are extras or something.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, so we went with this, and I did find it interesting because I remember when she was cast, people were like, "Oh, that's gonna be so exciting, so cool," and she called her role a spec. So, you know, whatever a spec is in role size, it doesn't sound that big. So I don't know that she's gonna be a big impact player here. I'll be curious what type of role she does have. So I found that interesting. But again, she continues that trend, as I said in the article, that trend of just praise and just love for Deborah Chow, even though she didn't, work very long on the series. You know, the two things Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ewan McGregor's out there saying is, Deborah Chow, I'm very excited with this new technology and working with Deborah Chow. And just like everyone is going out of their way to sing the praises of Deborah Chow, more so than you hear sometimes with this type of thing. So I'm very, that's the most excited I am. The most thing I'm excited for is Deborah Chow working with Ewan McGregor and give us a view of his Obi-Wan Kenobi that we've never seen, because we've only seen George Lucas's interpretation as a director. So I mean, everyone just saying like she's amazing, she's the greatest director. So again, when that thing comes turning around, that show comes out, and people are like, women Star Wars directors, I don't see how anyone else will be able to say another name besides Deborah Chow, unless this show just falls on its face, which, like I've been saying, it cannot be a miss for Lucasfilm. If Lucasfilm messes up Obi-Wan Kenobi, oh man, that's going to be bad. But I don't think they will. I think it's going to be great. And she's going to become the number one person on people's list for female directors for future Star Wars feature films. And if all this praise lives up to the hype, we're talking about hype with Boba Fett and Robert Rodriguez, if all the hype for Deborah Chow, which we've already seen how good she is, but if all the hype for her with Obi-Wan Kenobi lives up to it, I'll probably be right there with her at the top of my list too. So that's my takeaway. Not much else, because who knows what this small role means. Is she, someone who's passing along a MacGuffin? Is she somebody who is, a pilot? Who knows? It could be a lot of things. We've seen popular actors do small roles in Mandalorian, so. And she's not even that popular of an actor, so it's curious to see. But the Deborah Chow stuff, oh yeah, so good.
Yeah. All right. Lacey, do you have thoughts on Maya Erskine, the spec, the fans being involved, the SMEC? Yeah, I know.
I'm not surprised that, you know, fans are involved in the production, whether it be building droids or just as extras on the show. I think they try to do that with everything nowadays. I feel like they always try to add some fans in there just as kind of like Easter eggs for other fans, but also to be like, look, we care about the fans. They're a part of the show, you know?
Like the 501st in
Mando, yep.
Mando.
I'd say that, yep. So, I think, I don't know, this article to me was just kind of like one of those, we talk about them every once in a while. It's kind of just like okay, that's cool. Is it gonna like drive me crazy and be like, oh my god, I can't believe this? No, because she just kind of restates the obvious, which is everybody really likes Deborah Chow. Deborah Chow's amazing, which we already knew from Mandalorian and other stuff she's worked on, like Jessica Jones. I'm excited to see what she does with Kenobi, but I agree with you, John. I think if they if they drop the ball with Kenobi, I'll be offline for a while because I don't want to see what will happen. Line is like, I just feel like it's going to be bananas. I don't think that's the case. I 100% believe that they're going to do an amazing job, and everybody that's involved has put so much time and effort into this show. I mean, look at Ewan McGregor being involved in this for what, 6 years now? Like, I don't think that's going to happen. It's just like that kind of little worry as a Star Wars fan that you're like, please don't let this happen.
It's good, but it's overhyped.
Right, that too, like not good enough type thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Obi-Wan only got 53 lines in episode 1. He should have had 85.
Right. How did they not include this? How did they not do that? Like, I
don't
think
know. Yeah.
I'm really hoping
that's my
that
bigger fear than the show being good.
Right, and I think with all the excitement, with even what we saw on Disney Plus Day, the hype, the craziness around Kenobi from the moment it was announced, even before that, to the moment that John's story went live February before it got announced of, hey, this is happening, I think that some expectations need to be managed for all of us. So far, though, you know, with other projects like Spider-Man and Hawkeye and other Marvel things that you're seeing come to fruition, especially Spider-Man, and everyone's saying that the hype lives up to what happened, I'm hoping that's the case as well. You know, for Kenobi and every Star Wars project, but definitely Kenobi, just because there's just so much that's going into this show for expectations and wants and needs as a Star Wars fan, and just every Star Wars fan age-wise is rooting for this show, because you don't have someone being like, oh, I'm only into the sequel trilogy, I only like this, because you've got the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy and just like Clone Wars and all this other stuff that Kenobi plays into, and I would argue he's one of the top Star Wars characters of all time. Like, they got to get this right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, Ewan McGregor has worked with a lot of directors. So this isn't just some actor in Star Wars who's a little green and getting his feet wet saying like, wow, this was amazing to work with Deborah Chow. This is Ewan McGregor, just topic 1 on his PR statement list anytime he's asked about it is Deborah Chow. That's a good sign. That's a really, really good sign. So, and he seemed just so excited to be back. It's not one of those like, can't wait till you see it, like Emilia Clarke with Game of Thrones season 8. He's like, oh, I think everyone's gonna have real fun with this one. So, I don't know. It's
you know,
really cool.
It's funny that you say that, and I'm speculating here. I'm probably wrong, but I'm thinking, you know, how could that not be the case? What you're saying, John, and sometimes when, like, so say Ewan McGregor, yeah, he's the star of the movie or whatever, but he usually will have like a co-star or he's part of an ensemble. So like maybe he's working with the director a lot, but he's not always necessarily the guy. Maybe for whatever reason in this particular show, it's been him and everybody else. And for whatever reason, his green room is over here. And, you know, his catering's over here. You know what I mean? And it's kind of thing. I'm sure he's a pretty nice guy, but maybe he's been so involved in only really working with Deborah Chow that the entire experience has been between them. And then sometimes he works with some of the other actors and stuff. I'm probably wrong on that because I think everybody has said what you stated that earlier. Everybody's been saying good things about Deborah Chow. So I
Yeah.
think that
Mhm.
probably is more true, but I'm trying to come up with an example why Ewan McGregor of all people would be, for her, but I think you're more right, because I also think Ewan's probably a communal guy. I think he's probably walking around and talking to people.
And he probably
stuff.
had, wouldn't you think, I don't know, what do you guys think about this? Do you think knowing his sort of star power and knowing they can't make the show without him, I know it was a big reveal that he was, cast to play Obi-Wan and come back, but that he maybe has a little pull, like when he visited the Mando set to do costume fittings and stuff, like, I want to work with her, or do you think they're like, we're just giving you
Ooh.
Deborah Chow and there you go, you know what I'm saying?
Or did she push for the project herself?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I would have to say that I think it's more likely that she was one who showed
Advocated for it.
Yeah, or I was going to say just promise in general. Like, people were working with everybody on the show, Rick Famuyiwa and and other people. Like, I just think there's probably something about Deborah where it was very clear that she was elevated and she deserved another project, or something like that. She probably just earned it. That's the vibe I've always gotten. But
Yeah.
again, you're not wrong that he could have come in and said, like, I really like what she's doing. If I clicked with any of these directors, it would be her. But I think that would be an odd way to choose a director for a project. Like,
Right.
let the lead actor kind of pick who he works well with.
Is he producing it? Do we know? We
Yeah.
don't know yet. Oh, he
He
is?
is producing it.
Yeah.
So then
So
he does
then
have a say.
so he does have a say. So that's a good
I'm
point,
almost
John. I don't know,
positive.
maybe.
Yeah, I can try to find out, but we can move on. But I can try to find out.
Backtracking my statement there a little bit. No, I mean, do we want to move on to the next story? Or do we want to hang out here
Sure.
for a second? We can move forward.
Yep.
the
So
other-
Sorry, I got it.
go ahead.
Executive producers:
Yeah.
Kathleen Kennedy, Michelle Rejwan, Deborah Chow, Ewan McGregor, and Joby Harold.
Okay.
So I think that she probably met with him and then they both kind of advocated for each other to do it together.
Yeah.
That's a big deal being an executive producer on a show.
Yeah.
My God, what a run she's on right now.
Yeah,
Holy
good for her.
cow.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like I have an okay vision of, like, what makes a good episode or whatever, but to me, I still kind of sit back and I go, oh yeah, her episode was great. Well, the story was exciting and it had the Mandalorian shots in it. That didn't have anything to do with her. That was the story that, and how it was all, so it's like, I'm trying to think, like, what about her particular episodes just, like, were so great, you know what I mean, that we got to work at. And I feel like it has to be a behind the scenes thing. She was easy to work with. She made everything flow very well. She clearly wanted to do things that would work. And they were like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do that. Not on this, but we like that, whatever. And it could be taken into the next project very easily. I think she's just an elevated person to work with. That's the only thing I can come up with. Because I feel like her episodes were good, but for story purposes,
I think hers were
I
my
can't
favorite,
pick
not
out.
just story, but by shots too. Like, she had the shot where the camera was on the pram with Grogu when he's coming into the village with the hair, with the ears blowing. Like, that was her shot. And, like, she does a lot of following the action shots, really low shots.
No, the village was
The Village
Bryce
is
Dallas Howard.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
No.
I
You're
know.
misunderstanding me.
I think
The
so
one
too,
where
yeah.
he's going in to turn Grogu in. The shot of the camera on the pram. I'm calling it a village, but it's not a village. It's the town. Navarro.
Oh, that's where I got confused.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew you were right, but it was confusing because you were saying village, and I was like, I
Yeah.
know
Yeah,
she
my
knows
brain
that was a
went
Bryce
to-
Dallas Howard.
yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah. Because there's an earshot in that one too. I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
So yeah, that's all there. It's funny. It's funny that our story is Maya Erskine and the
Fans,
fans and stuff, and we're talking about Deborah Chow. But
Forget that, Deborah Chow.
exactly. Let's
Yeah,
move on to
right.
this other thing too. John, you actually know probably more than I do about this, even though I was the person that kind of shared it with the group. There was a Lucasfilm holiday gift box that they sent out to people And on the box, it has the projects that either Lucasfilm is currently working on, or maybe projects that certain individuals worked on, or something that along those lines. But if you look at the box, it says Willow, The Bad Batch, and it has their logos. And then it says Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, and then the last thing under that is Visions. So there's kind of a couple things here. These are clearly Lucasfilm. They're not necessarily Star Wars. They seem to be animated things, but then Willow's in there too. So it's all kind of confusing. What is Tales of the Jedi, and is this Visions, as in like, thanks for working on Visions last year, like Bad Batch is there? Or is it Visions as in like, hey, you've been working on season 2, just like how people might be working on season 2 of Bad Batch, which is confirmed. So it's kind of like, there's a couple weird questions having to do with these images. What do you think Tales of the Jedi is, and how does that, and where do you land on the Visions connection?
Well, I think
What's in the box?
What's on the box is what I want to know.
I feel like
In
we
the
can all
box
kind
is
of
like a
work
sweatshirt, I'm
together
sure.
on speculating on this one, but like Indiana Jones is on there, so that's another live action, and that one's a movie.
Oh, is that like on the other side or something?
Yeah. So the other
Gotcha.
side says Indiana Jones, Book of Boba Fett, Andor, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. So here's the thing: the Visions thing, like these animated shows take a really long time to make. So my guess is they hedged their bets with Visions, and they were already had a batch of episodes with those studios being made for a subsequent season. So I think that's probably already in the works. It wasn't one of those. I don't think with these animated shows, if you're gonna continue them, you gotta at least have a few things in the can, because they take a long time, like years, to make these things.
Yeah.
Like I remember Resistance, Pablo Hidalgo was like, "Yeah, we finished that 2 years ago," or something like that. And it's just like, they probably were like, this is going to be good. Like when they were like getting the early ones of the first season done, so like probably ordered more episodes or whatever. So I think that's a no-brainer that there's going to be more Visions. And everything else is confirmed stuff. So I have no idea what this thing is. I know this is a name of an old Legends comic for Dark Horse, and Dark Horse is now back involved. Is it an animated retelling? The only thing that makes me nervous is when, and I'm already starting to see it online, is when they take these names and reuse them, and then you have fans who love the legend stuff of it so much that they're like, oh, it better be this, or I hope it's this, and I hope they retell this and make it anime, and then they start building all these things up in their head.
What's
And
an example of that?
Anytime there's a blend of legends and new canon, it always leads to some sort of like craziness with fans.
Tension, I would say.
Yeah. So I don't know what this thing is, but it's got to be some sort of series. I doubt it's a movie. Maybe animated, but because everything else on here is a series or film by Lucasfilm. So this isn't a comic book. This is definitely some sort of series at the least. I don't know that they would just slap a title of a movie that is not even in production yet on one of these boxes.
Yeah.
So my guess is a series.
It also
My better
doesn't
guess
say
is
Rogue
an
Squadron.
animated series. Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, true.
Oh, well, what if Tales of the
That's a
Jedi
good
is
point.
like Taika's?
I know, but my guess is series. I don't know, Lacey, what do you think? I'm not really sure. I'm gonna guess animated series. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come at this from the graphic design angle and look at the box as a graphic design project. So as someone with experience where they're like, hey, you have to make this project and here's 16 logos that you need to put in this project, and they all have to make sense and they all have to be in certain order, blah, blah, blah. You look at this and you're like, okay, first let me eliminate the ones that make no sense in the sense of Star Wars, which would be Indiana Jones and Willow. You have 2 of those logos, and each side you have so many slots. You're going to put one on each side because you don't want those together on one side with a couple Star Wars things. Whereas if you do it the other way, you can divide them in half and have 3 on here and 3 on here. So it just evenly equals out Star Wars. I think that Tales of the Jedi is a animated show because
right.
it's on the
Yep.
side with the 2 animated projects. And yeah, it didn't happen this year, but it could be a collaboration of, hey, these are things we worked on this year that are coming out this year, and then here are things that are coming out in the next year. So I guarantee they're going to announce this in the next year.
You know what? That's a good point that you just made, because if you look at the other flip side, at the top, both sides have a non-Star Wars live action thing.
Correct.
And then it's 3 live action Star Wars, and then you're right, could be 3 animated.
Correct.
So maybe, yeah. So James, do you agree? You think it's animated then?
I do agree. My point of view from this is that it probably is animated, and it's probably something that they're working on. But I think it's very strange that we're just now hearing about Tales of the Jedi, and it was not mentioned in
Disney
the
Plus Day.
investors meeting or investors day thing
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
Where was Tales of the Jedi? How long has it been in production? And you decided not to mention it, yet you mentioned Lando and Ahsoka and and Droid Story and all these other things that are not even close to being done. So what? It makes me think, what projects are you working? If this in fact does end, if it's a comic thing, whatever, maybe, but like if it's at least animated, or above, it really makes me wonder, where was the decision to mention certain stuff and not other stuff? You know what I mean?
And why would you put this on the box? Like, if you knew that this was going out and this was going to employees' homes and things leak out all the time, why would you put this on the box?
This
You
is how
can't
they
trust
market.
anybody, Lucasfilm. What are you doing?
Yeah,
That's funny. Someone online I saw, like, I bet this is a red herring to catch a leaker inside the company, and there's no such
Leakers,
thing. I was like, get
no.
out of here.
No way,
Come
yeah.
on.
First of all, the person took the photos in front of a white wall on a white table. Good luck finding out who it was.
Yeah, if you are, and I don't think it was a leak either. I think it was like
Hey,
I
look
found
at
out
this cool gift I got. Yeah.
because somebody
Taylor
was
Gray.
like looking at very specific creators and saying, hey, I've put together a couple images from people that have posted about this gift that went out because they follow him. Here it is, and they dumped it on Reddit. That's how I saw it.
Have they said what's in the box or no? Has
It's
anybody said
Gwyneth Paltrow's head.
That's why I said, what's in the box?
know. Yeah,
I
Like,
know.
I was
think-
wondering why, like, they usually post the box and then what's in the box. I guess they were like, no, that's too far.
Yeah,
Privacy, please. I'm like,
I don't-
okay. What's in
I don't
the box,
know if
though?
anybody posted what was actually inside, but you can only imagine it was, like a coffee
A
mug,
water
a
bottle or something, yeah.
sweatshirt. Yeah.
And you know what? It's a very similar logo to the classic Return of the Jedi logo.
Yeah.
Imagine this is a Luke Skywalker animated series post Return of the Jedi.
It is yellow like The Force Awakens.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a vinyl. It's almost exactly.
Is it a record player?
It is literally exactly this, I think. Maybe not. Yeah, it pretty much is. So here.
I guess James is pulling something from his backdrop right now to show us what it is.
yeah. Oops.
Well,
Oh, you broke
So
it.
I've got a couple, stickers and stuff. But this is what it is.
Do you play our stickers? Does it play the
But
podcast?
it's brown, like it has.
they gave everybody at
looks like a
Lucasfilm a record
suitcase.
player?
Yes, but it says
What?
it says
Oh my
Lucasfilm
God.
Limited here. But it has the
Dang.
speakers right here. And I
Nice.
mean, it looks, and it's got this little thing and everything. It's got to be made by this company, Victrola.
Dang, and I wonder if
But,
they gave him
yeah.
like vinyls for the certain shows and stuff. That's cool.
Let's
it
call
lit-
Victrola and be like, so
Yeah, it literally
going on?
looks like this with the edges on it and all. I bet it's
Oh,
exactly
wow.
made by that company.
Nice.
So yeah, and also too, like they have all those pictures posted here, but no like vinyls, no actual vinyl.
Right.
Because that person probably would have posted what also came in the box. Considering they took 4 photos of the record player inside, you would think they
Yeah.
would have taken
Mhm.
pictures of everything. But yeah, so there's that. I thought there was something else I wanted to add to that too about. Oh, the Visions thing. Yeah. Me personally, I think they're going to do Vision season 2, and I think they're going to do, what was it? Was it 9 stories?
Yeah.
9. So I think they're going to do 8 new, and then they're going to let that director do the continuation of, the Jedi one, the 9th Jedi, because he was very open about like, I think the story could keep going.
Right.
And I think fans were kind of rallying behind that and stuff. So I think that what they're going to do is they're going to go back to the studio. They're going to say, do it again, create new stories or whatever. But with him specifically, they're going to say, continue that story. We're cool with it. And take it wherever you want to go. If that's what you choose to do, then cool, do it, So that's my stance on Visions right now, is that I do think this, I'm not positive that it wasn't thanks for doing Bad Batch and Visions past season. I don't know that this confirms season 2. But it does look like all these things that are listed on that box are things that haven't happened yet. Book of Boba Fett hasn't happened yet. Indy 5 hasn't happened yet.
When was
Tales of the
Indiana
Jedi
Jones
hasn't
supposed to
happened
come
yet.
out, though?
So you have to assume the Bad Batch and the
supposed to be out
Visions.
this year.
That's what I'm saying. If you look at it,
next year.
It was these things were probably put into production a while ago, I would bet. Indiana Jones is at the top, right? Then Book of Boba Fett, then Andor, then ObiWan Kenobi. What if it was in order of when these things were supposed to release?
I don't know. I know Andor's going to come out after Obi-Wan. At least that's what they said. Is being said.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But the other thing is, I'm really hung up on this logo looking a lot like that Return of the Jedi logo, and I that would be amazing if it was an animated Luke series like post Return of the Jedi. But
well,
that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
So I've said that before. That's the way to bring Mark Hamill back, and that's the way to get the young Ben story stuff. Because I would be very interested in seeing Mark Hamill at that point, or not Luke, like at that point, flying around, doing his thing, going on missions, and then having that like side kind of Padawan be Ben. He's there too. Maybe he's not even officially there yet, but he's taking his nephew out, and they're doing things.
Right. It's tough though, because Mark Hamill did voice stuff for Forces of Destiny, and it sounded like old Luke. It didn't sound like Mark
it was
Hamill
a little
from
rough.
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, but they have that new, new voice thing that they're doing.
Maybe I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I'm just saying based on what I've heard
I agree.
so far.
I agree. He sounded a little gruff, little gruff,
because they replaced his voice
with AI
Mandalorian.
Right.
Yeah. So. But you'd have to do it for a whole show. It's not a couple lines, but whatever.
Starring.
Right.
What's the
do you guys
computer from Jeopardy?
Do you guys want to talk about this next story, or do you want me to just kind of run down what else happened in the news this week?
I would just run down.
Yeah, just quick,
okay. Yeah, we like we normally do. I've got a couple other things that I want to talk about before we end Resistance Report. The first one being that there was this really cool interview, if you guys want to go check it out, about the anniversary of Rogue One, how Hickel was involved in the interview. You can kind of they kind of bounce different things off of him, and he talks a new perspective on the creation of K2SO and the Battle of Scarif, and how he normally isn't even involved in that stuff because he's visual effects. He's not part of the story, but in this particular case, they needed him involved for assets and how the story was all going to go down and everything. So it was really cool if you guys want to go check that out. Also, happy anniversary to Rogue One. Came out a couple years ago, and it's great. The other story that we want to talk about, and this is a little bit of a bummer if you're paying attention to the High Republic stuff, Mission to Disaster actually got delayed. Now that is a junior reader. It's not junior, but it's like mid-grade. Usually with High Republic stuff, the way they do this is they put out like the adult novel and the other one, that like middle tier book at the same time, and usually those books happen at the same. They're happening at the same moment, but they're different reading levels. So it's kind of interesting that this one got delayed. So we don't really know exactly what the reasons are. Maybe it's to put a little bit more focus on the adult-oriented novel first, so that people read that one and then do this one. But it got moved just under a month, just about a month from the regular release date. So that'll be coming out in February as opposed to January. So watch out for that. Last thing we want to mention really quick, and this is again another Star Wars Vision story, is that The Duel, you've seen it, you love it. It was nominated for Best Television and Media in the 2020 Annie Awards. We actually reported when this was going to be up for nomination, as well as the other one.
Ninth
I can't remember the
Jedi,
name of it.
Village
Nope.
Bride.
Village Bride. That's it. Village Bride was the other one that was up for nomination. It is not up for the award, but The Duel is. So if you guys want to check that out, Star Wars actually has a couple things represented, as well as Disney and Marvel and
I
other
think
things
Village
like that. So
Bride, though, was up
out.
for an Oscar. They were nominating that for an Oscar, not an Annie.
Well, had maybe a Golden Globe or an Emmy.
It
was
could
an
have been.
Oscar. It was going in for animated short for an Oscar.
It could
I
be.
thought.
I do know that this article specifically states that that The Village Bride was up for an Annie as
Annie
well.
too?
However,
Cool.
The Duel is the one that got
They
nominated.
picked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So yeah, a couple stories there. Again, Visions is one of those things, like, I think everybody watched it and then like forgot about it. Go revisit it. It's great. Have
It is
fun.
great.
And kind of go retake in those stories, because some of these are in fact really good, really prominent pieces of animation that will go down in history books, especially The Duel, as we see. All right, that is it for Resistance Report. Lacey, we got another segment. What's it called? What are we doing?
Guys, it is time for the Patreon pod race. So there are lots of ways you can support us here on the podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN, on Instagram at The Resistance Broadcast. You can follow us on all the different podcast apps, including Spotify, which now has a rating system.
Oh,
so
yes.
please make sure to head over there and give us a rating. We really appreciate it. It helps us get seen and gets the word out. We really, really appreciate everything that you guys do for us. And if you want more than that, you want exclusive videos, mailings, special events, live streams, and much more, you can head over to patreon.com/resistance broadcast. Starting at $2 a month, you get access to the page, you get to interact with our community, and just be a part of the base. You know, head into the base and watch everything that we put out, from, like I said, like really cool live streams and exclusive content that you can't see anywhere else. We don't make that stuff public, so you can only see it on our Patreon page. As John said at the top of the episode, this is our last episode of TRB for 2021. So what better way to kick off the new year, which could be the biggest year of Star Wars, than supporting TRB and what we do here and what we're going to be doing in the next year. So to say thank you to our generals and spice runners, we let them be a part of the show, and this is that segment. So first, I want to thank our generals. So thank you, Carmelo, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, John RISI, Jetta Rosewater, Paul Olsen, Jake Houchins, Oliver Lewis, Frank Grande, Joe Ritchie, Darth Hurricane, John Chorlton, Nick Kratz, Christian Morales, Brian Smith, Matt Chitty, Nathan Shank, and Val TRICHKOV. Thank you guys so much as generals. And then we have our Spice Runners. Thank you, David Probus, Neil Shaw, Double C Chris, KENDALL GELNER, Ryan WAARA, Dave HORNAK, MICAH Harrison, and Thomas Hennessy. Thank you guys so much. The exciting thing about both our generals and our Spice Runners is that they'll continue to be a part of the show also in 2022, which is really cool. And then our Spice Runners especially will have meetups and dinners and cool Spice Run chats in 2022.
Oh, yeah.
We have a lot of fun stuff we're planning for celebration. So when you're in with the TRB community, you get kind of first access to that stuff, and you learn about what we're doing behind the scenes. So this week we have...
You get to watch us eat.
What?
You get to watch us eat
Yeah.
while you eat.
So this week, our last pod race of the year, we have our Spice Runner, Dave HORNAK, aka we like to call him Indie Dave, here in the base. And his question was, you are a master Jedi and very strong in your skills with a lightsaber. You are tasked to confront Darth Vader, and the Emperor in a lightsaber duel. Which Jedi do you ask to join you to face them in your own duel of the fates, and why? So Dave, take it away.
Merry Christmas, everyone. I'm not sure when this is going to air, but it is a few days before Christmas. So my family's in town. We're celebrating Christmas. I have my grandsons in audience right now. They don't want to get on camera, but they're watching nonetheless. I've been tasked with fighting the ultimate villain duo of all time in Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine. I am fictional, so we'll just say I'm a Master Jedi, and I'm really good with a lightsaber. I need to pick a Jedi, and best mentions were Yoda, ultimately a great lightsaber master, and then of course Mace Windu was another choice that I think would be an adversary that would hold his own as well. But I am going to go with the Jedi of Jedis, and I'm picking ObiWan Kenobi. Just after prequel era, I'm thinking he has already defeated Anakin, and Anakin is now fresh as Vader, so he's still learning his ways and being who he is, and we have to go take them on. So I'm going to go to Tatooine. I'm going to grab Obi-Wan. I'm going to convince him that we have to go do this, and we're going to battle both the Emperor and Darth Vader. And I think Obi-Wan, being that he has defeated so many worthy adversaries in his time, that he's going to be the guy that's going to give me some pointers. And between the two of us, we're going to hopefully hold our own, and hopefully there's a great outcome to that battle. Hope everybody's well. That's my answer, my Christmas version answer. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays.
Nicely done, Dave. Love your sweater. I thoroughly enjoy it. Happy holidays. Hi to your grandsons that we couldn't see on camera, but we know were there. Welcome to the Resistance, guys. So, John, what did you think of his answer?
First off, like Dave has, I know he's got that giant screen, so I don't know if that's a projector projecting Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
But that room, I don't know if that's your Star Wars room or you know whatever you got, like kind of like what I have going on. It just, I want to be there and I want to hang out. I want to go there. I want to go to Indie Dave's place. Yeah, it looks very comfy, cozy, and a great place to enjoy Star Wars. And you had some cool stuff back there, including the tree and some of the artwork. I do want to ask you about that Vader and Leia art piece. It looks pretty cool. So if you have, hit me up on the Discord and let me know what that's all about, Dave. But hope you're well. Good answer. I was surprised by your answer, but I love it. Because I first thought you said Yoda first. I thought you were just going right to Yoda, but you're like, it could be him. Then you said Mace Windu. It could be him. You did the theatrics. I like that. I love theater. So I love how you answered that. And hopefully your grandsons have a chance to at least watch you on the episode. I know they didn't want to pop in, but how you doing, fellas? And again, as always, Dave, you are just the epitome of an amazing Star Wars fan. And I say this a lot, but I mean it, or I wouldn't say it. It's an honor that you are supporting us here at TRB, because that means you see us in that sort of same light as good fans of Star Wars and stuff. So can't wait to see you, hopefully at Celebration, and have a great year celebrating Star Wars with you. And great answer, though, ObiWan Kenobi, but I'll hand it off now to see what the bigger ObiWan Kenobi fan on the podcast thinks about it.
No, it's funny. It's funny that you say that, too, because, like, I was like, oh, Yoda's a good choice. And then you went with Obi-Wan, and I was like, oh, dang it. And then, this question actually threw me for a loop, because I was like, you know what, though, really? And I started thinking about this question in depth. And I was like, Obi-Wan is not a bad choice, considering, you know, you're going up against Vader and you're going up against the Emperor. So I started doing that whole, like, who's actually defeated Vader? Who's actually defeated the Emperor and stuff? And I won't bore with all the details if you guys want to go on that on your own journey, but it is kind of funny, you know, when you're looking at like Obi-Wan, did he really lose to Vader, you know, kind of thing. And it's like, I don't know that Obi-Wan couldn't have beat him in that, you know what I mean? He kind of had an alternate reason to lose that battle.
Well, he did beat him once.
Present him to, yeah, no, I know, I understand, but he wasn't Vader, you know, at that point. But the Emperor thing also was interesting too.
He said, now rise, Lord Vader.
But he wasn't Vader. You know, I know, you're right. He was
Vader with better knees.
But I thought it was interesting too, because I was like, who's beaten Palpatine? And I was kind of like, oh, this kind of changes. Palpatine coming back kind of changes Vader defeating him. And who's actually legitimately beat him? Rey is the only person really.
Right.
Oh,
So-
can I? Mace Windu
Go
had
ahead.
him.
Oh, that is a good answer. Good answer. Which
Dave almost said Mace
which
Windu.
Dave
That's the
almost
thing.
said. So hey,
Yeah.
look, Dave, great answer. And I challenge everybody listeners to this question because it's a good one because it really causes you to explore kind of who would be best. But Dave, you did a great job. I liked your answer despite it being Obi-Wan immediately. It's a good answer. It is. So
It's the goat answer.
And I hope you had a Merry Christmas too, Dave. I know this is
Absolutely.
out on Monday, but you had wished us that. So back to you, man.
Yeah, I hope you had a good holiday. Now we're going to head to Lacey for the last Resistance transmissions of 2021. Lacey? Thanks, Lacey. Guys, it's time for Resistance transmissions. So the way that this works is every week John puts up a crazy, wacky situation on Twitter, and you guys give your answers. And so this past week, the scenario is pick any Star Wars character and what their New Year's resolution would be. I feel like we've done this one before, and it's always a good one.
I think I do it every year.
I think it's a good one, though. All right, first up we have Ben Potter at PotterPotter100. Hey, Ben. He said, Sio Bibble resolves to check the communications towers daily. Marion Sanjur at Marion San Tweets. Marion, what up? Says, Grogu, I'm going to eat more cookies, froggies, and eggs. Oh my God, the drama of the eggs. That will
He
never
Oh,
literally-
yeah.
That really does feel like a New Year's resolution for Grogu.
It's true.
Like, I feel like if you asked
And
him
little
and you
kids'
could
handwriting.
communicate with him, he would say that. He'd like, I want to eat more cookies and frogs and stuff, or more food. That's what I
Yeah.
want.
Next is More5150 at More5150. What up? They said Dr. Cornelius Evzan will resolve to not only be friendlier to bar patrons, but will do a better job of lending a hand to his pal, Ponda Baba, when he needs it.
Oh,
Yeah.
See what you did there.
Oh,
Well done.
man.
Next is Adam Odell at
He needs
Odell
a
Adam.
whole
What up,
arm,
Adam?
though, really.
Adam said Admiral Piet is resolved to install better windows on a Star Destroyer bridge next year.
Oh, man.
Next is Danny at Chibigon89. What up, Danny? She
Hey.
said, Anakin, learn how to get the high ground.
Up. Yep.
YouTube videos, like how to get the high ground.
And it's Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
He's like,
he
no,
just
downvote.
He just
Downvote.
gets so mad. Obi-Wan's like, before we get to that, if you guys could like and subscribe
Yeah,
my
please
channel.
like this video.
Yeah. This video is brought to you by Skillshare.
Oh, jeez. All right. Squarespace. Alex Zuka said Zubaka. What up? Alex said, Max Rebo, book a new gig with somebody that rules with respect instead of fear. And that actually pays.
Yeah.
I love that you said this because James spent the beginning of the show being
Yes.
like, I hate how they keep saying this line.
It's old. It's already old. I'm tired of it. I want that to happen in the first like 5 seconds of the show and be like, okay, I'm not waiting.
So
for
this
it
is
now.
your version of No One's Ever Really Gone for me.
It really is.
Yeah.
Next is Mark at
But
the
that's-
kind of Wakens. _kind_Wakens. What up, Mark? Mark said, Beckett, learn how to play the Valakor.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
Yeah.
that's.
I'm telling you,
hits
Solo's
right here.
Solo's deeper than people give it credit for, man.
And Nick T at the PJ Skittles. What up, Nick? Said Maul, find his other half. In dating, of course. Hashtag Darth Bachelor.
Darth Bachelor.
I don't know what's my favorite. The YouTube video of Obi-Wan doing the how to get the high ground. Hey guys, what up? It's your boy Obi-Wan here. Ring that bell for notifications.
They should do
Oh,
a show with
jeez.
Darth Maul called The Bad Bachelor.
The
Dun,
bad
dun,
of the
dun,
Bachelor.
dun.
Because he's a bad guy. Oh, you're doing The Price is Right thinking someone said they liked hearing it. Stop it.
No, I do that all the time, actually. Just not on the show. Guys, thank you so much for your answers. It's been a crazy year filled with Star Wars and funny Resistance transmissions, and I'm sure it's only going to get better in the next year, especially with all the new content coming out. And as we gear up for lots of cool stuff. So thank you so much for everyone that's submitted this year. Hall of Fame's been a little crazy this year. I'm not sure who made it, who didn't make it. We have to be more active next year. But a little understanding, seeing as we're still living through this crazy time, as the pandemic and whatnot. So anyway, thank you for being a bright spot in the universe, in the galaxy, and giving your really funny answers. It makes us laugh every week, and it really means a lot to us. So yeah, back to John.
All right, yeah, thanks for listening, watching, being a part of TRB all year. And to echo what Lacey said before, I should have mentioned this at the top, the Spotify ratings thing. We've been pretty overwhelmed. We are, I mean, maybe by the time this episode comes out, we're already over 100 ratings by people on Spotify, which is just amazing. So if you have it in your heart and you like what we do, 5 stars over there on Spotify. We know people still rate us on Apple as well, but wherever you get your podcast, if you just take a few seconds to do that, if they have a rating system, it means a lot to us. It goes a long way, and I believe it helps us show up in more searches and stuff. So thank you very much. But yeah, subscribe everywhere. Let's keep this train going. We're going to be back with you obviously on Wednesday, but as far as TRB goes, this is it for 2021. But also make sure you go to StarWarsNewsNet.com for all of your Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. You can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, writing at StarWarsNewsNet.com, editing at StarWarsNewsNet.com, and my movie podcast, Just Like the Movies. We're doing The Matrix, the OG Matrix. Should be coming out tomorrow. James.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Myra Trunks.
Lacey.
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram, loving Star Wars and geeking out and stuff about Book of Boba Fett, at Lacey Gilleran.
All right. And then, yes, again, the Mando Fan Show is back. We hope everyone enjoys the first episode of the Book of Boba Fett. We will be live 9 p.m. East on Wednesday night at youtube.com/Star Wars Newsnet videos. Hop in, grab a friend, get in the live chat. Let's have fun. Welcoming back live action Star Wars. And if for whatever reason you can't make it on Thursday, kind of feel like it normally does, we'll put out the podcast via the podcast feed, and we'll also be there for you on YouTube as well. But try to join us live if you can, so you get your Mando code and have some fun with us. So we will see you Wednesday evening, right here on, not right here on TRB, but you know what I'm saying. See you around, kids.